Hello, ladies and gentlemen. In the last video, we introduced this idea of changing an equation from standard form, which is when I have an equation with all the variables on the left side and only a constant on the right side, and turning it into slope-intercept form, or our graphing form, y equals mx plus b. Currently, in its standard form, it's difficult to graph. I don't know exactly what the m is. I don't know exactly what the b is. I don't know the slope or the intercept, so I need to find a way to get this standard equation to resemble this slope-intercept equation. And from the last video, we learned that that's really just accomplished in two steps. We move the 3x over and change its sign, and then we eliminate the number next to y. That way it just becomes y equals something x plus some number, a constant. So let's practice a little bit. I have 3 questions I want to practice on with you, and I think in each one we're going to learn something interesting and new. All right, so first step, take the 3x and move it over and squeeze it in between this equal sign and this 14. Now remember, I want you to imagine that you're taking your fingers and peeling the 3x off the page, lifting it off the paper, and then squeezing it in between these two signs here, this equal sign and this 14. When I do that, if I peel off the 3x, well, the negative, the 2, and the y didn't come with it. They stay on the page. So does the equal sign. It stays on the page. And I'm just going to squeeze that 3x right there after the equal sign and before the 14. Now, this 14 is positive, so it becomes or it just remains. We just put a positive sign, a plus sign, plus 14. And then remember, though, if I move a term and it goes past this equal sign, we switch its sign. So it's positive. It moved past the equal sign. Once it passed it, now it's negative. I like to think about it as like maybe this is somebody moving and they really love their town, but the moment they leave their town, oh, now they're sad. Oh, poor person. Or let's say they hated their town and they move over. Now they're going to be happy because it was negative. They move over. Now they're positive. Just a little way to remember that. But regardless, we've done the first step. Now it's time for the second step, to eliminate this negative 2y. Now notice I didn't say minus 2y, because it's not minus 2y. It's not minusing anything right now. It's negative 2y. Negative 2 times y. So how do I eliminate this negative 2? Well, I'm going to do the opposite, the inverse operation. I'm going to divide by not 2, by negative 2, because that's what I want to get rid of. And I'm going to divide everything by negative 2. Once I do that, these negative 2's cancel each other out, and I can drop down the y, drop down the equal sign. A negative and a negative become a positive, so I don't have to worry about a sign here. But 3 and 2 don't divide, do they? That's okay. We'll just write it as a fraction. 3x divided by 2 just becomes 3/2 x. Positive 14 divided by negative 2. It's a positive and a negative, so it's going to become a negative 7. And just like that, it's in slope-intercept form. Y equals m, my slope is 3/2, x plus b. My b is negative 7. I'm ready to graph it. Put a dot on negative 7, go up 3 over 2, up 3 over 2. You know the drill. That's not what we're doing today, though. We'll do that later. Let's do another example. All right. Again, my goal is to take this equation in standard form and make it look like this. Y equals mx plus b. So let's do this. First thing we do, take this negative 3/4 x, peel it off the page, and smash it right in between those equal sign and that 5. So let's do that. Peel it off the page, drop down that plus y equals move this negative 3/4 x, and it'll be next to a plus 5. Remember, though, when we move something to the other side, we need to make it change its sign. Maybe it hated it here in, I don't know, Pittsburgh or whatever. Sorry, Pittsburghians. I've never been, so maybe it's not that bad. Either way, moved over from a town it doesn't like into a town it does like, it'll be happy. It becomes positive. And the cool thing about positive signs is we don't need them. We can get rid of them if they're just by themselves. Excellent. So that's step 1. We've moved it over and changed its sign. Now, before we go and try and do step 2, let's just look. Is it already in slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. It actually is. So if it's already in slope-intercept form, do I need to do this second step? And the answer is no. Why would I do a step that isn't there? There's nothing to eliminate. So we're done. So let's make that a little bit of a clearer rule. Look how we have a positive y. There's no coefficient next to it. With a positive y, we can skip the second step. Because when we move the 3/4 x or whatever x is over here, we end up already with y equals mx plus b. All right. One more equation. It's in standard form. We're going to move the 3x over and eliminate the coefficient of y. First step, move the 3x over. There it is. Peel it off the page, and whatever's left, write it down. Negative y equals, squeeze that 3x in there. It's a positive 5, so it becomes negative y equals 3x plus 5. You might think, huzzah, we're done! Mr. Grapp, look, it looks just like y equals mx plus b. You just said in the last example, when we have a y, when it's just y, we could just move and be done. Well, go back 30 seconds. I said when there's a positive y. Because look, is this exactly y equals mx plus b? Or is there something extra? There is something extra. So we're not quite done yet. We're not out of the woods. There's a negative sign next to that y. So we need to do something to get rid of that negative sign. We did move, but we still need to eliminate the coefficient next to y. But Mr. Grapp, there is no coefficient. There's just a negative sign. There's no number to divide by. I can't divide by a negative sign. That doesn't make any sense. Look closely. How many y's do you see here? Count them. Go ahead. Take your finger and count how many y's you see. That's right. You see one y. That's because when a letter is by itself, a variable, it still counts as one variable. And so there is a number to divide by. And we're going to do just that. We're going to divide by -1. Now, this is a trickiest one. I'm just warning you here. This is one that slips up even the greatest of mathematicians. So please, be careful. When you drop down that negative sign with the y, know that there's a 1 there, because you still have to eliminate it. All right, we eliminate the -1. It becomes just regular old y equals 3 divided by -1 is -3x. 5 divided by -1 is -5. And there you have it. Y equals mx plus or minus b. There you go, folks. I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. But if I may just summarize and point out, with each one of these examples, including the one before, it was the same 2 steps. Move the x, eliminate the coefficient. Or rather, move the x, switch the sign, and you'll notice all we did was divide every single time. The only time we didn't divide was when there was literally nothing to divide by. In this case, we still had a negative sign, so we had to divide by something. But if you want to break it down into 2 steps, move and switch, divide by the coefficient. You'll get these right every time. All right, in the next video, we're going to move and switch, divide by the coefficient, and then graph. I'll see you there.